her building her business, and we've had some meetings with Target. We have worked together in terms of just consulting to take her business to the next level. And so I met her probably 2+ years ago now, and when you just like meet one of those people that just a really strong natural leader, and women on the call right now, I see you in that bucket too. And when you just meet someone who you really think is strong and is going to change the world, and I believe in her business. And then when I found out she was running for office, I can't think of a better person to advocate for her community. So today I just want to get you guys a little more background on Devonna and where she's come from and where she's headed, and also just a little more for people that might not know that much about the county commissioner role, and kind of how all these 7 county commissioners work together to really move the agenda forward for the entire county. So it's a big job. She is running for county commissioner in District 1, which is Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, New Hope, Crystal, Osseo, Robbinsdale.
Yes.
Not bad, right? And so there's actually several districts that are that the commissioner is up for election this cycle. So it's actually a big year for this role, and important that we're learning about the different roles that are up for election, not only this primary but also in November, and make sure that we're learning about the candidates, what they stand for, so that we're supporting people that we really feel like are going to move the county forward during a really difficult time. So right now, Devonna, I'd love for you to just go into your background, like your history, where you're from. It's a really inspiring story, and how you are here today and your work with Hennepin County.
Yes. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really honored that you would take your happy hours and spend them with us to learn about the county commissioner role and to learn more about me. I was born and raised in Fort Heights, Illinois, and Fort Heights is the poorest suburb in America. The one thing that I learned growing up was to work hard, and I learned that if there was a problem or issue, you fix it. And I thought about on the way here, right before I walked in, we didn't have homeless shelters in our town. If someone didn't have a place to stay, then they ended up in someone's house, on someone's floor, on someone's couch. We took care of each other where I'm from. But I moved here 29 years ago as a single parent of 2 daughters, one in my belly and one on my hip. I just decided that, I needed a better life. I wanted my children to grow up and to just see something different. So it was, for me, it was this huge sacrificial step that I took, but I had no idea where that would take me or how my life would change. So moving to Minnesota for me was like one of the craziest things that I've ever done. Running for office is probably the second craziest thing that I've ever done. But spent some time working on me, working on my professional self. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then went back and got a graduate degree in law enforcement leadership. When I think about who I was even before then, I was someone who had dropped out of high school and did not like school, didn't do well in school. But, once you kind of move through life and figure out, okay, maybe I can learn. Maybe I can do something different than what I'm seeing around me every day as a youth. So here I am today with 18 years experience at Hennepin County, where I've worked across many different departments at the county. I'm a small business owner. I've written and published 3 books, including a memoir about my life and how I overcame poverty and sexual abuse. I've sat on the board of the Sexual Violence Center and the City of Lakes Land Trust and the ACLU Smart Justice Board. So have been very busy. Raised my 2 daughters. I'm married now for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary and have 2 grandchildren and 2 bonus sons. So life just kind of flew by. And one day, I kept thinking, some of the perspectives that I had seen coming through District 1, I didn't agree with them. I know there were great things happening in District 1, but I just felt like the people were not being considered. The people's voices were not being considered in the decisions that were being made. And so year after year, I kept thinking, someone's going to run against him. Someone's going to run. And no one ever did. And so that someone had to be me. And I went to a board meeting and sat through the board meeting and thought, you know what, this is the time. I got to do it now. And, you know, I've said it before, I have a grandson, Bentley. Bentley is 2 now, but when he was probably about, you know, a few months old, he was at the government center, and I remember holding him thinking, Bentley, one day you're going to be county commissioner. You're going to make a lot of great decisions. You're going to change the world. And I immediately got sad because I thought, well, Bentley is, you know, a few months old. It's going to take 25 years for him to be able to make these changes. I have the experience, I have the background, I have the perspective. The only thing that I really didn't have was, and I was doing so many things in the community, but never really saw myself as a politician or, you know, someone who could be sitting on that board of 7 commissioners to make decisions. But that was the moment where I decided, you're ready, you've done enough. You know, you've worked hard in your community. You can be county commissioner, and you can be the perspective that we're missing in District 1. So that's how I got here today.
And I see that there's a chat. Is there a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about the role of county commissioner and kind of what those decisions are and how your history with Hennepin County and what you've been working on in your career kind of tie into what how you're hoping to move that forward.
So the county, first I'll say the county commissioners kind of make decisions, the legislative decisions and platforms in the beginning of the year based on a $2.5 billion budget. And so they decide, you know, what are going to be the issues and the work that we're going to focus on for the next year. And that includes, you know, making sure that all the stakeholders and the partners are involved in those conversations. So county commissioners are the voice for the community, and I believe that we can only be the voice of the community if we have conversations with the community and the residents who live in our communities to establish what their platform and priorities are, and also to take those into consideration. The county commissioners are a voice on a legislative level, so they talk to all of our other legislatures at the Capitol, and they get to decide, like, what are some of the things that the county is also going to move forward at the county as a result of conversations that are happening on a federal and state level.
You know, I'm thinking about key challenges that are going on, like in Hennepin County, but everywhere right now, and kind of thinking about, you know, a heightened focus on social justice and affordability and closing the gaps in some of these disparities. Like, how do you see, like, yourself kind of helping to move that forward? Like, there's agenda on that.
Yeah, so I've spent the last almost 3 years working in disparity reduction. And in disparity reduction, we have been working on inequities and how we take a look at the policies in Hennepin County in education, employment, income, housing, transportation, and justice. And so we know what the data says. We know that when you look at income, that people of color, black folks, are earning 35 cents to the dollar when you compare it to our white residents. And so those are conversations that we've already been having. We've been literally admiring these problems for far too long. And you know, one of the things that I really want to be focused on is how we get those conversations, those people who are on the front line, who are very smart folks at Hennepin County, the staff, how do we get their messages and their solutions to the commissioners? So that's absolutely one thing that I want to focus on. But as someone who has been sitting in those rooms, having conversations about disparity reduction and how we even need to take a look at our HR policies at Hennepin County and how we promote people of color at Hennepin County. I don't think that we're going to be able to resolve any of the issues we're having in our community if we don't start at Hennepin County first. So for me, that's absolutely going to be one of my top priorities, is to ensure that Hennepin County is fixing Hennepin County first. For me, it's always been, as someone who has advocated for affordable housing and jobs, especially for people who have been to prison, done time, and you know, they've served their time, but then when they're released, they still can't find a job. And we have a program called STS Homes, and STS Homes, it was a construction training program for inmates. You know, and I just felt like, because they were only making $1.25 an hour, how can I be made whole at Hennepin County when the people we're trying to help are not being made whole? And so I'm looking forward to advocating for things that make sense. You know, I think common sense is so important for a leader, and we have missed the mark on so many things. And I just want to make sure that we have perspective and someone who can actually see past policies that are in place, but to start looking at people and humanity.
Who do you think is doing a good job of that now? Like, who do you look to and say, whether it's a community or a leader or someone that you look up to, like in the political realm or otherwise, like who's an example of someone that you really look up to and kind of look to in terms of actually fixing some of these huge disparity issues?
You know, I could name so many politicians, because there's so many good ones who are going against the grain to just speak out about the way we've been doing business. But I want to really talk about the community organizations that have their doors open every day for people who are homeless. It is the homeless shelters, the small business economic organizations who are at the Capitol fighting for more money for small businesses, and organizations like the Land Trust, who every day are making sure that people who normally wouldn't be able to purchase a home are being put into a position where they can own a home. So to me, it's those small organizations who are barely keeping their doors open, because they're waiting for the government to allocate money for them to continue to do business. And we need to support those organizations, because long after we're gone, a lot of those organizations are still going to be here. So
We have a question.
Yeah.
So continuing on reducing disparities, could you speak more to how you plan to help with affordable housing?
yes, affordable housing, as someone who has benefited from affordable housing and Section 8, I think that those are programs that we absolutely need to continue to take a look at. But I'm a strong proponent of land trust and contract for deeds, and also ensuring that affordable housing is built into all the blueprints that has anything to do with the city and Hennepin County. I don't think that we should construct any more buildings if we don't have affordable units in them. And for people who want to own homes, because you know, you meet a lot of people who say, I don't want to own a home. But for people who want to own a home and they're credit challenged, we need absolutely more money put into those economic development programs, and we need more education around how people can own a home. But as they're credit challenged, we should really focus on getting back to contract for deed programs, because it really only takes a year or two to get your credit together. And if a person moves into a contract for deed, they can be owning that home in a year or two. So those are just some ideas I have around affordable housing. In my district, over 50% of folks are challenged, and they are paying way more money than they can afford to pay in housing. So it's not just 30%, it's sometimes 50, 75%. And you know, like I said, when I first moved here, I struggled a lot, and over 80-90% of my income went to housing. So my perspective is going to be very, very valuable on that board, because I know that the current commissioner has not struggled with those kind of issues. And so sometimes if you haven't gone through it, you don't have that perspective. So in this district, having that perspective is going to be very important.
And this is a plug for why we're here today. The most likely running mate is Jeff Lundy. He is the current mayor of Brooklyn Park, and he is a Republican white male, and every voice that is has that experience, has lived through it, that can be at a seat at the table, like, will make such a difference. And so this year is one of those years that's very strange. Like, normally we'd be out, like, knocking on doors, having these big events where we can get the word out. And when we look at trying to allocate resources behind people with diverse perspectives and the background to understand how to move things forward, and look someone in the eye and say, like, I have lived in Section 8 housing, here's what I know, about how people can come out of this, and where you are today. So part of why we're here is obviously to raise money, because we need to focus a lot more in terms of mailing and Facebook and other online advertising that just costs more money than knocking on doors. With COVID, we have to be really careful about what volunteers are comfortable with. So kind of having these small events too, where we're just trying to do it virtually to just get the word out, introduce Devonna to the community, and especially in Hennepin County, to help understand, we're trying to raise some money. So I think today we were hoping to raise around $5,000 to help us move the needle towards the primary, but really keeping the eye on November, where we would really like to have, as part of one of 7 seats in a really critical county that is very underrepresented in terms of diverse perspectives, to make sure that we're really lifting people up that we believe in, investing financially behind those people, and learning more about not just our specific neighborhood, but how we fit into that broader piece. So just a plug of this is kind of why we're here today, to kind of raise that money. Yeah.
I want to add to that from somebody that said, what can we do to support your efforts, specifically education? As a privileged person, I don't want to sit quiet, but I'm unsure where and how to take action. So can you respond to that?
Yeah, well, I think Natalie spoke about how important it is for all 7 commissioners to, it's important that we have good commissioners who have good common sense and who can connect to all of our values and the things that are important to not just us, but to our communities. And so just getting me in office is not enough, because I'm going to need to have other good commissioners on the board. We need 4 votes to get anything done. There's 7 commissioners, so we need 4 good votes to get anything done. We need absolutely more visibility brought to the campaign. It's really odd when we started out a really vigorous campaign, and so we've been working really hard since about November. I've been talking to my campaign manager for almost 3 years, so we've known that I was going to run. But once we launched the campaign in November, we've been on wheels ever since then. And I know that is the kind of the saving grace for us, because we got started long before COVID-19 hit. We had already been knocking on doors. I won the DFL endorsement with 62% of the delegate vote, being the only Black woman who has ever won the endorsement in District 1. It's something that we should be proud of, and I'm learning that I should be proud of those small wins. But as a first-time candidate, we absolutely need to continue to bring more visibility to who I am, the things that I believe in, even the things that I've done. And so that's what's really important. I am, like Natalie said, I'm running against someone who's been a politician for 11, 12 years. He actually just spoke at the State of the Union, right? Or he was
He was-
there.
he was a guest.
invited to the State of the Union with the president. He's a Republican, so he has some name recognition. I believe, based on the work that we've done and based on much of the what we've been hearing, that I am the front runner. I believe that we've done our part, and we really just need the voters to come out and do their part, and then it's a done deal. We have 8 days before primary. Is it 8 days? 8
No,
days.
7 days.
Today, right?
A week from
One
today.
week from today is primary, August 11th. And we've been working to get here, and we are here now, 1 week from primary. So you never know who you know, and that's the thing. You never know who you know, and those mailers are so important. I got a call from, you know what's funny is I got a call from 2 80-year-old white women this week. They got my mailer. The call that I got today, she said, and they tell you, I'm an 80-year-old white woman, and I got your mailer, and I just want you to know that I haven't heard from any other candidate, and I am going to vote for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, so
that's amazing.
so really just continuing to build upon the momentum and keep showing people why I am the best candidate, why I am going to represent everyone in District 1, and how voting for me is a vote for all 7 districts.
I don't know if there's any other questions before I ask another.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I did have a.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Jenny. Tell me more about what the current priorities are for the Hennepin County Commissioner. Like, what is Jeff, what has he been prioritizing that we're like, that shouldn't be a priority? Or there's other things that are taking over?
So Jeff Lundy is not the current commissioner. Mike Opat is the city commissioner, and he's actually retired. So this will be his last year. He stepped down a few months ago. Well, you know, he retired. We didn't expect that he would retire, but he did retire. He's been the commissioner for 29 years.
Oh my gosh.
29 years.
So what do you
Okay,
think?
that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jenny.
Yeah. Yeah, so the county, the priority right now is disparity reduction. We're focused on reducing disparities in education, and so education, employment, income, transportation, and justice. And for me, the biggest gap that I see between the work that the county is doing and should be doing is around education, especially being someone who was not interested in education, and no one really came to save me. You know, I was just allowed to, see my way out of junior high and high school. No one came to save me. And so when I think about what the county is doing around education, it is absolutely not enough. We do start to build relationships with young folks once they're in our custody. To me, that's too late. So I believe I deeply believe that the county needs to focus on how we build relationships with our public schools and with our school systems, because there we can figure out what our children need and how we develop them for jobs. That also brings in the conversation of workforce development, because I think children should have options. A lot of kids don't want to go to college, and that's where the trades come in, and how we present options for kids to do whatever it is that they want to do. And if there are issues, if they're struggling, we need to start figuring out what that is early. And the county needs to play a larger part way before they are incarcerated.
What is the biggest challenge you face?
What is the biggest challenge I face in the county, in my life, as a black woman, in general, as a black woman who sits in a lot of rooms at Hennepin County with a lot of leaders, and I believe that that the leaders at Hennepin County do see me as a viable resource. They know that I have strong connections with community. They know I have strong connections with leaders in the community. but somehow I have not been able to move beyond the roles that I've been in. And we know that's a problem at Hennepin County. We know that people of color are not promoted at the same level that our white counterparts are. That is a problem. Someone said to me the other day, I don't know how you could have stayed at Hennepin County for 18 years. Because I think, and they're a short timer. They've been there 5 years. I don't know how you've been able to stay there for 18 years. And I've been able to stay because I've been in those back rooms having conversations, and I've seen community organizations saved because I've said we cannot cancel this contract. Community will not be happy. People will be homeless. People will not have jobs. People will not have training. And so I know that I've been able to make an impact. However, I know that there's a deep problem, not just in our state and in our organizations, but there's a deep institutional inequity and problem with racism within Hennepin County. And I believe that, now that I'm in this space where I really understand my calling and why I was at Hennepin County in the first place, I can be a lot more comfortable with how I get to change things once I'm county commissioner. I am very comfortable now with the idea that I was brought into Hennepin County for a reason, and that reason was to get in there and learn everything that I know about. I know who the proponents are. I know who the agitators are. I know who the real leaders are at Hennepin County, and no other person who's running against me will go into the county knowing that. And so for me, day one will be shaking things up.
Amazing.
If I could, I have just a comment and then a question as well. First, I just want to praise you for the courage to run for political office, and I know that in my role at Target, I have the opportunity to work with organizations like Vote Run Lead to help encourage and inspire women and know the barriers that there are to just deciding to take that leap in that faith, and that exists even more so, not just for women, but for women of color. And so I just want to praise you, knowing that there's so much work that goes into what you're doing, and there's a lot of gut and grit that goes into even campaigning and putting yourself out there. So congratulations, whatever the outcome is of the race, congratulations
Thank
for
you.
putting yourself out there and making sure that your passions can be known and people have the ability to know you too. You talked a lot about workforce development and the prioritizing education, and then how that can go into pipeline opportunities to get people into positions that might not be the traditional way of seeing education. What role do you see companies, corporations having in supporting the work that's happening at the local level related to workforce development? How can companies step up to the plate to be more of a player in helping to reduce these racial disparities? And I'm sorry, my 2-year-old is working here.
That's all right. Aww. Yeah, you know what? I think that is such a good question. The county actually has a Pathways program right now that I know that we need to expand. And I've always felt that we're not doing enough in our workforce development program, but we need to bring in more partners. And you said it, we need a pipeline, but we also need more partners. We need Target, we need organizations like Target and some of the other 3M and other larger organizations in the state to join in and to partner with us and to bring your resources and your skill set and your money and because you're going to need these bodies in a few years. I know that way before the pandemic, we had already started to think about the bodies that will be needed in the next 10 years to fill the jobs that are coming. With the pandemic, I know that might look a little bit different, but once we're past this, we're going to need a lot of folks, and we need to make sure that our children have different skill sets, and Hennepin County cannot do that alone. We need to spread our wings and partner with all of these large organizations in the state to make sure that that's happening on every level. Our focus a lot at Hennepin County is for training is construction and administrative roles. But we know the world is so much bigger than that. And so with partners like Target and 3M and even the labor unions, we can begin to build a framework around how we do that and how we're successful at it. Thank you.
When we were sitting here getting ready to go on here, Devonna's phone rang and it was a reporter asking her for some input on the Botno line and kind of the announcements. And anyone who's been following that, if you haven't, it's basically been a project that's been in the works for Hennepin County's about $130 million into this project. And part of this, it's a light rail expansion to like the communities in District 1, as part of transportation being part of your platform and knowing that like, I don't know if everybody saw this, but BNSF Railway basically said that they would not be a partner for the 8 to 10 mile stretch where they need to share railway. And so it basically halts the Botno line, which I know you're a big proponent of. Can you talk a little bit about how you're feeling about that and how that impacts your community and what the next steps forward are there?
Yeah. Yesterday was really when I heard that BNSF, which is Burlington Northern Santa Fe, when we heard that they had already said that they weren't going to do it. And we'd heard that many times, but in my mind, I thought, okay, I can get people to the table. You know, maybe my predecessor was not the best at bringing people to the table because I know that I have a gift for bringing people to the table. But when I heard that yesterday, I thought, they're not coming to the table. They're not coming to the table. For me, this line is so important because when we talk about workforce development, there's so many underemployed people who live in District 1 who need viable transportation, who need to be able to jump on a train and get to work. And then even when you think about businesses that need to happen and that can happen as a result of that line being there, yesterday was just not a good day. But I immediately started thinking about, okay, what are some alternative routes? How do I get the blueprints in my hand? Because I will never know the conversations that happen behind closed doors. I will never know why BNSF, maybe once I get in I will know. But I've already started having conversations with people who have been sitting at the table and who said there are some alternative routes and I want to meet with you and talk to you about those alternative routes. And so I am going to be meeting with folks to talk about alternative routes because I'm just as committed today as I was on yesterday to making sure that it happens and to make sure that it's equitable. We cannot continue to build these lines without every community, every voice, every person in mind before we sit down and sign off on a blueprint. And so it has to happen and it has to be equitable.
So I just thought we could get a little sneak peek because, she was like, I can't talk to you right now, reporter guy, about my feelings on this, but so sneak peek
Yes.
on that.
I saw the Star Tribune.
Question about that too, if you guys have. So does Hennepin County ever use eminent domain for railways? Because it almost seems like they use it all the time for Black people or people that are impoverished, but yet they're never willing to do it for rich, wealthy companies that would potentially help people that are impoverished.
Yeah, that's a really good question and a valid point. And I definitely got to do my research on why that isn't happening. I know the lot they've owned that line for so long, maybe even before. I don't know if they've owned it before Hennepin County was incorporated. I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna. Very good question. I'm definitely gonna do my research on that one.
I also think that Jenny Bender, who just asked that question, should also run for office, by the way, and I've thought that for 10 years.
Run for office. Run.
You know what? I am there. If we want to picket that railway, I'll sit on the rail line.
Yes, let's do it.
I think it would only take a day. I feel like
So another, just like a few other things about just like questions around Hennepin County and kind of where we're at right now. You know, it can be a very polarizing subject, but to, I think, a lot of people that are listening in or on this call, like the issues with police brutality and the structural like issues within the policing systems. Like, can you talk a little bit with your experience, like in education in criminal justice, like what you see as like what's in front of us right now, and what do you see it looking like in 20 years?
Yeah, I had the extreme privilege to graduate from the University of St. Thomas with some of the most esteemed leaders in our police departments. And it was really weird because I was there was another female in our cohort. It was a cohort of 22 people, but I was the only woman of color, and I was maybe one of two people who were not police officers or sheriffs. So having that experience for me was something that I would pay for all over again. I will say that I learned so much. This space that we're in right now, we know where we are. We know where we've been. We know we cannot continue like this. Police brutality is not new. It's not something that we're just starting to realize that it coexists with us. It has always coexisted with us. I think that there absolutely needs to be re-envisioning of the way we police our communities. And we have to do a better job, and that means, again, taking a look at training, how we, I think we need to demilitarize our police departments, and I don't even know if we need to call it police anymore. Maybe we call it something different, but, you know, I say, and, you know, I think I'm going to leave this off the table for right now. I'll save this for the general election. But some people believe that we don't have problems in certain communities. And we absolutely do. As a black woman, when I ride down the street, I ride past a police officer, the way they look at black people, brown people, is a shame before God. So we need to re-envision our police departments. We need to retrain anyone who is on our police department, and we need to get rid of bad apples. We have to move forward, and it has to be in a way that is totally different than the way we've gone forever, for over 200 years. So.
One other question is, I think that a lot of these women on this call are very eager to help, and it feels like this huge, like everything going on right now feels so huge and broken, and the systems that have been in place for so long, but I feel like there's so many strong, like action-oriented people, like, I don't know if, again, like the community is hurting, there's the issue with homeless, like there's a lot of disparities, like I would love just like, okay, what are like a couple of places that you know are underfunded, or just like some things that we can be thinking about how to impact our communities immediately, even if it's like there's so much going on that's so much bigger than just one person. Obviously we want to elect the right leaders, people that think differently, people that want to like look at the last 200 years and make changes. And I think starting with little babies and little kids in the education system, like really investing in that is really where things kind of have to start. But what are some things that, like, as a community leader, you could say would be kind of things that we should be thinking about doing or contributing to or volunteering with right now?
Yeah. Again, so I live in New Hope, but I have a strong connection to North Minneapolis because it is the one place in this state that reminds me of home. The culture, the down home, the southern feel that you get when you're around black people. and it's so colorful. To me, it's, I just love North Minneapolis. So I spend a lot of time there, or I have in the past. And the West Broadway Coalition and Neon, those are two organizations that I think are so important to support because they help small businesses. And in order for small businesses to grow, you have to have resources. So Neon, Northside Economic Opportunity Network, and then the West Broadway Coalition. And then another one is ACER, the African, if you Google ACER,
Community
African,
empowerment.
Yeah, it's called ACER. I'll get it to you guys, but they are working hand in hand with community to make sure that families are eating, that small businesses are prospering, and people have the supports they need. So for me, I'm always going to go back to those organizations that are in the community every day. Like you can literally walk up to Neon every day and knock on the door because it's down the street from residents, or you can go to ACER and knock on the door. It's not so easy to get down to the government center every day. And so that's why I love community organizations, because the proof is in the pudding. We know that those resources are being funneled back into the community. So, yeah.
Can I read you a statement from Lauren?
Yes.
She had to leave. I have to run. I'll try to rejoin. Nat, thanks for hosting. Devonna, thank you for sharing your background, wisdom, and plans. Running for office shouldn't be the craziest thing you ever did. It should be the proudest. And you definitely embody the first statement you mentioned. When I see a problem, I fix it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So it's 20 after 5. I don't know if you want to
I
just do a
think,
wrap up.
I think we can wrap up. I mean, unless anyone has any other questions, I think today was really just, I wanted everyone that I know that is, especially my strong women in my life, to know you, to get to understand your background and like where you're going, and make sure that like voices in our community are heard, lifted up, and supported financially. So that was kind of the goal of today, to help everyone get to know Devonna a little bit, and hopefully, go to that donation link and give what you can.
Thank you. And I want to thank Natalie. Like she said, we met a couple years ago as a result of me pushing my product. And, I can always call her, email her for anything. And so I really, really appreciate you hosting this fundraiser today. It means the world to me. It, might not feel like a lot to you, but it, this really made my day. And I just want to say to all the callers, we forgot that I'm endorsed. I'm DFL endorsed. I'm endorsed by AFSCME, Teamsters, the Minneapolis Regional Labor Federation, Women Winning, the DFL Veterans Caucus. Who did I miss?
Minnesota Now.
Minnesota Now, National Organization for Women. So all of these organizations have common sense. They have decided that, Devonna is the candidate. She is the one who's going to fight for the people. So I hope that after getting to know me better, that you all will decide to support me. My website is peopleforpittman.com, peopleforpittman.com. And we need, this week, in our final push, we need hands to help us call voters to tell them about me. So if anyone wants to volunteer, we would love to have you, even if it's 30 minutes, even if it's 20 calls,
Even if it's 10 calls.
Even if it's 10 calls, absolutely. 10 calls. So I would really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for sacrificing your time to be here.
Hey, Devonna, thank you so much, and just leverage us. What Natalie was saying is that I know a lot of the individuals on the call, and we're here for you. So let us know what we can do, and even organizations that we can support. I think I'm on this journey, and it's overwhelming, to be honest. So I think knowing somebody like yourself who has so much knowledge and so much interaction with the people, the direct people that we're trying to help, just please reach out, because we're here. And just like you said, we've got a network, each one of us, and so every little bit counts.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
It was great getting to know you, and I'll for sure phone bank for you. That's what you
Awesome.
said. You got it.
Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's
Well,
exciting.
and I'll send a follow-up so that we can, get the people that are willing to either donate time, money, we'll just collect that, and then we'll put together a social media post that people can even just share. You never know who in your Facebook or Instagram group live in this district, so we'd like to also just use your networks to reach out to people that actually do live in District 1 that are directly voting. So thank you all
Yes.
so much for your time
Thank you.
and your care and your questions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope you guys
Bye.
have a good night.
Okay, they're all off. Yep.
Hey, Facebook.
Oh.
Facebook is still there? Don't stop it yet.
Yep.
So you guys, this is Natalie, my friend Natalie, for 2 years. Natalie hosted a fundraiser for me tonight. So if there's anybody on this call or anybody on the video on Facebook Live that wants to host a fundraiser for me, you can. We are 7 days, exactly 7 days from primary. So if you live in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Crystal, Osseo, Robbinsdale, New Hope, make sure that you vote for me in the primary. If you have not done your absentee ballot, please, please, please go vote on August 11th. We need every single vote.
Need to mail it in today.
You have to mail it in
If you haven't
today.
mailed it in by today, then go vote early in person at your local city hall. And we have details on we will have details on our website. We have it on in our scripts.
See, that's why you need a good campaign manager. Yes. So thank you all for watching.
And we have lots of volunteer events this weekend, starting Thursday night, phoning with Ramsey County Commissioner Nicole Fretham
Yes.
from 4 to 6 on Thursday night. And Saturday morning, we're going to be doing another round of texting. We're going to try and text 7,000 people over the weekend. So we need people to help with that. And then if anybody wants to get out on the doors and try and, find some
You should
good
come over
long.
here. So-
No, you don't want me in. You don't want me in the camera. Trust me. But yeah, we'll have things. So meet at 10 o'clock at Devana's house. Look out to our website, or I'm sorry, our Facebook page for the details on Saturday morning.
Yes. So this is our last push before primary. We're meeting at my house on Tuesday. No excuse. If I haven't seen your face on the campaign, you want me to see your face on Saturday. Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Just say it. We gotta say it.
Bye, everybody.